You know, figuring out how to open these is actually more difficult than you'd think. So I'm just going to say hi. With the big game coming up, yes, I have to call it that. I thought there would never be a better time for me to talk about my favorite football video game of all time. We'll call it Super Tecmo Bowl because if I say the name properly, I'll be putting two words together. That if I do that, the NFL will want paid. And there's no way in hell I'm paying anyone just so I can order a couple of random words the way I would like to. Screw that. This game improved dramatically over the original Tecmo Bowl. With the shield behind this and the NFLPA, you get every team and almost every player. It wasn't just a generic Chicago team, it was now the Chicago Bears. Granted, some of the players like Jim Kelly and Randall Cunningham, for one reason or another, wasn't a current member of the NFLPA at the time. I've heard, but I can't confirm it with 100% certainty, that many of these players was just in between contracts during the production of the game. You know, and if you don't work for the company, you can't be in the union. That's why you don't see fast food workers in the steam fitters union. So a few players have generic names like QB Bills and QB Eagles. Visually, it doesn't look all that much better than the original Tecmo Bowl, but it is better. Just not leaps and bounds forward. They did add some cutscenes, halftime show, and a special halftime show for the Super Tecmo Bowl. They made a bunch of other additions over the first game as well. Before, the only way you could get a turnover was via an interception, and now there's fumbles as well. Players can get injured. There's now multiple game modes, including a full 16-game schedule with division and conference standings. They also added stat tracking, which became bragging rights whenever you played in a multi-person season. Then there's the multi-person season. You can, with some organization, have a different person control each team in the NFL at the time. I know these are now the standard, but back then they were revolutionary. This game is old, but it's still good. I've always liked the horizontal field style better than the vertical field that has become the standard anyway. And on offense, you pick each play and the defense will pick from the same 8 plays. If the D somehow picks the same play as the offense, a crazy bum rush will occur, blowing up the play almost every time. It goes both ways though. If you pick a pass play and the D thinks that you're going to run it, often it'll lead to a wide open wide receiver running a go route. Now, if you're playing with a friend, you learn pretty damn quick how to hide your controller. Because if you don't while you're picking your plays, your friend, even if he's your best friend, he's going to cheat. Every time. Playing a typical season has you playing a lot of games versus the computer. It's easy in a way, but the snapback AI can get ugly if you start a season like 11-0 or something. It's as if the 76 Dolphins programmed it, because it's hard as hell to finish the season perfect. All of a sudden, you'll cause a fumble only for the other team to get it back and advance it forward for a touchdown. Sometimes it's 80-plus yards. Your best player will all of a sudden get injured. You'll never recover a fumble. Every play you pick almost, the D will choose. And when you're on defense and you pick the right play, they'll complete the pass anyway. Then you'll lose once and it's like the difficulty resets. During your season, each game on the schedule is played each week, and it's played in order. If a live player isn't scheduled to play, it will automatically sim the game, and you won't have to watch it. You will have to watch how each quarter is played out, though. You can speed this process up a bit in the schedule menu, but if you don't, you'll need to start each game manually. It's hilarious and eye-opening just to see how different the NFL is now compared to then. If you watch every week, it's easy to think the NFL changes very little over the years. But this game is old enough that you can see just how far the league has come. A few of the differences are dramatic and some not so much since they are recent real-life changes. So real quick, here are some of the differences. The Jags and Panthers didn't exist yet. The Houston Oilers did exist. This is before they moved to Tennessee. It was a 16-game schedule as opposed to the current 17. 2 teams in each conference received a first-round bye in the playoffs. The Seahawks played in the AFC. The Colts was in the AFC East. The Bucs was in the NFC Central. Now these might seem strange. You might even think that today the Cowboys being in the NFC East kind of makes no sense. Well, buckle up because the next 2 make no sense. Didn't then, don't now. The Arizona Cardinals played in the NFC East, while the Atlanta Falcons played in the NFC West. This game just hits that nostalgia bone right for me. I was a kid when this came out. The players in the game brings me back to the good old days, as they say. With players like the current Skechers spokesman Joe Montana when he was the best quarterback in the league, no questions asked. Icky Woods, whose name just puts a stupid dance in your head called the Icky Shuffle, but it was a big deal. Heck, I actually still think I could do it. A coked out Lawrence Taylor would kill everyone who had the nerve to even touch the football while he was on the field. The Nigerian nightmare, Christian Okoye, he ran over everybody. Squirmin' Thurman Thomas, he led the Bills to 4 consecutive big games, even though he never won one. And Barry Sanders, regardless of the statistics, is the greatest running back to ever play the game. The eyes don't lie on him. Go back and watch some of the clips. He turned more 5-yard losses into 10-yard gains than anybody who's ever played the position. And then there's Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson is easy mode. You can't talk Tecmo Bowl without bringing him up. House rules everywhere had the rule that no one was allowed to pick the Raiders because of him. One of the developers loved Bo, and at the time a huge Bo Knows ad campaign was going on for Nike. He was extremely popular as a two-sport star and the favorite player of said developer. So, the developer made his favorite player the best in the game, and it's not really even close. And yes, I had the shoes. So, when I was young, my brother and a friend of mine, for anonymity's sake, and simplicity, we'll call them John and Tom respectively. Tom would come over on Friday and he wouldn't go home till Sunday. This happened so often that he basically became another one of the brothers. We'd pop this in, stay up all night, all weekend long, and try to finish 1 or 2 seasons. Growing up in Pittsburgh, you could understand that being the Steelers was a bit of a fight. But John was the oldest, so he kind of always got his way. It just wasn't worth it. Tom, he picked the 49ers every time. Since I had the Bo Jackson shoes and I couldn't be the Steelers, I'd pick the Raiders. This didn't last long. At one point I had over 2,000 yards rushing by week 8. After that, I wasn't allowed to pick the Raiders anymore. You gotta understand, back then, we didn't have the internet to tell us that Bo was just broken. At best, we might see it in a magazine a couple months later, but we ended up having to learn this the hard way. After that, I bounced around and played with just about everybody, but ended up with the Chiefs very often. I liked the running attack of Christian Okoye and Barry Ward. Looking back, that was some of the best weekends of my life. We had a blast. Usually it ended up Tom versus either me or my brother. He was the only NFC team, so he kind of got off easy. He also was the only one who passed the ball all the time. I mean, he did have Montana, Rice, and Taylor. Why the hell would you run it? All of us accused each other of cheating at some point, yet next weekend we'd do it again. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing. Every Monday I put out a new video that covers either a video game or an anime. Jump down in the comments and let me know if you have any memories of this game. Or if you'd like me to review something, let me know. Or hell, tell me what type of apple is the best. Also, please consider watching one of my other videos. Being a young channel on YouTube, the algorithm could care less about me, so sharing this would put me in your debt. Have a good one, and I'll see you again next week.